All right, guys, we are live on YouTube. We are going to be talking about the 16 valve versus the 4AGE 20 valve. And my buddy from Good Enough Motorsports will be talking his end on the 20 valve. So let's go into it. Hey, buddy. With this fucking guy. Wow, what an entrance. What an entrance. All
Ohio
right,
gozaimasu.
all right. Like, if we're going to get started, we're
Welcome,
going to get started right. Oh, man, that's too funny.
welcome one and all to Good Enough Motorsport.
This guy.
Actually,
Before
I'm
this,
not gonna keep this up the whole time.
yeah, if you go to his channel, you'll see plenty of that. Just
Oh yeah,
welder him completely.
shenanigans
Let's
galore.
this freaking guy. Let's dive directly into the 20 valve and 16 valve. So, if you guys don't know, I own plenty of 16 valve 4ADEs, and my buddy Nicholas has owned a 20 valve 4AD. I have zero experience with working and tinkering on a 20 valve 4ADE. However, I have tons of experience on the 16 valve, so I could share plenty of bullshit that goes on with them, plenty of tunability, plenty of like making actual power and making, although all my 4ADEs are slow, but we're going to dive into pretty much all those aspects of the 4ADE. And now Nicholas will share his BF on the 20 valve 4ADE, why he thinks it's pretty good and maybe more superior than the 16 valve. And although we've both never driven the opposite, so I've never driven 20 valve and he hasn't driven the 16 valve, this will be a beautiful way on how to discuss the big debate on which one's better for what application. So Nicholas, let's hear what you got to say about the 20 valve right now.
I own one. End of story.
Oh wow!
Well, actually, it goes a bit more in depth than that. But if I maybe allowed a bit of backstory on my build, a few years ago, actually many years ago, I was working on the SR20 swapped S13 240SX, and the thought popped into my head, it would be pretty fun to build an AE like 100, AE 101, granny spec 20 valve kind of daily, but the 240SX was so far gone. I putted it out, bought the engine, transmission, and eventually a body for it. And the car that I'm currently sitting in originally had a 16 valve, which I probably could have fixed up, but I already had the
Right.
engine and trans combo ready to go in. So
Makes sense. Makes sense.
I just took that next step. And
Okay.
why would I think that the 20 valve is superior? I don't think it's much more superior, but for what I wanted out of it, it was what made the most sense. I wanted
Right.
something that I could just drive on a daily, whip on a little bit at a time, and something that sang that glorious ITB song of our people.
That
Uh,
everybody loves, right? Yeah.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. But it
Now,
turns out
what?
that go on.
What? No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Right. Well, it turns out that the 20 valve blacktop is actually the best suited for that because it uses a map sensor instead of a MAP sensor. So you can just take off the OEM airbox, throw on some people call them trumpets, but they are called velocity stacks.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Makes sense, man.
yeah, well, actually, it's called velocity stacks. I like to be that guy sometimes. Yeah. So
Colton's already. Oh, my bad, man. My bad, intro. Colton's already throwing fire your way, man. He's talking about 16 valves better, bro. I gotta hand it to him. I gotta hand it to it. It kind of
they're
is.
all
All right,
good.
now go ahead. Go ahead.
They're all good except when they break down. If you need
Yeah.
internal
Okay.
parts, head parts, the 20 valve, like there are ways, but 16 valve is much more readily available. That's just
That's
that's fact.
yeah, that's a beautiful part about 16 valve 4Gs, and that's where I have a lot of experience in. That like they're very readily. Well, I don't even want to say that they're not readily available, but they're a lot more available than the 20 valve, and you can find them in
Yes.
multiple cars like the A86, the MR2, even like some of the rare ones like the Geo Prism or whatever. And you can find them like in different applications, and it's pretty cool. So like you maybe be able to get lucky with a stuff like that. And the cool thing is that the A86, because of the glorious A86 that's really overdone, they provide so much aftermarket support for actually both engines. So both the 16 valve 4AGE has a lot of life and aftermarket support because of the iconic 86, but same goes with the 20 valve. Since everyone wants to put a 20 valve in their 86 or A92, there's just so much aftermarket support when it comes to that. So that's a really cool part that I love about the 16 valve 4AGE. There's a lot of aftermarket support, but there's also for the 20 valve, whereas for the 4AF and 4FE, it's not even existent.
Yeah.
It's just not existent.
Unless you go turbo.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's really a good point. And I love both, but don't get me wrong. Yeah. The 16 valve is definitely my jam too. And if it wasn't so expensive nowadays to get 20, to be honest, to get a 20 valve, it's really like you can get it's really cool that you can at least get like kits for it. So like if you go on eBay, you can get a 20 valve with a transmission and a wiring harness all on the same pallet, and you get it shipped to you. But the 16 valve, you really can't get that. And if you do, it's about the same price as a 20 valve. So you might as well just go ahead and get a 20 valve because like you'll have a ready set pallet with all the things you need. Because the biggest thing about 16 valve is everyone's like, I'm going to swap a 16 valve into my SR5. But all they think about of getting a 4AGE is they need the 4AGE. They don't think about the transmission. They don't think about they need the wiring harness, the gas tank. They don't think of everything that you need, which makes the 20 valve a lot more easier to just go ahead and do an engine swap with the 20 valve versus a 16 valve 4AGE. You know what I mean?
Yes, I fully agree. However, I will say that getting a 20 valve, if you can find one locally, like on the mainland at least, it helps, but shipping is still a pretty penny.
You're very right about that.
I was very fortunate. As some of you may know, I am le French Canadien. So yes, I'm Canadian.
Like I heard you. Go ahead.
I live about 2 hours away from Montreal. That's Quebec's best known city. Mm-hmm. So I was able to find a 20 valve blacktop with the C160 gearbox. We'll get back to that. Right. 2,200 Canadian dollars. That's about $350 in US currency, I believe.
250 or 350?
Does it matter?
Wait, we're generally cheaper than Canada, no?
No, American currency is much stronger than Canadian currency. But I was able to get a good price, and I had borrowed my father's pickup truck to carry it, so that was easy enough.
Hey, okay.
Installing it, the transmission mount needs a bit of work, a fair bit more than I recalled. But the wiring was the key component, and I requested the services of Kevin Cormier from Special Page Wiring. I believe someone else from the group also had his services. I forget who it is. I believe he's related to Kyle Sven or someone who might know him.
Wait, who are you referring to?
Well, I know Kyle Sven already had a 20 valve swap.
Yeah. He's like if any of you are in the A92 USA in Canada, the top person who really knows a lot about 20 valves is Kyle Seven. He is one of our moderators on the group. So if you ever want to ask a question about 20 valve, he really knows about doing the swaps. He's done it plenty of times. So yeah.
I will say this. This is my first time owning that engine, and I'm not all that knowledgeable. A friend of mine had a few before me, and he clearly knows more, and it helped me out a lot. He diagnosed that my intake cam gear was going bad, and when it's really gone and dead, it makes a rattle. It almost sounds like a diesel. Mine didn't quite make it.
Okay.
Yeah. Mine didn't quite make that level of noise, but he said, it's on its way out. And that is also a pretty penny to acquire, because you can't like dismantle and overhaul the intake cam gear. You have to buy a brand new one. And being that the 20 valves are Japan exclusive,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
cannot get them at your local Toyota dealership. So
Yeah, that's the one thing about
eBay.
them too. Yeah, eBay and like I don't know about you guys. I'm not trying to razz on eBay at all, but I'm just not an eBay person. I don't like ordering car parts off of eBay. I'd be sketchy. I'm like, is it on Amazon? If it's on Amazon, let's go. But like, I'm all sketchy about eBay, and but yeah,
There's
that's
a
just
way.
my take.
There's
Yeah,
a
I
way
mean, but
about it.
yeah,
Mega
there
zip.
is.
Mega zip. L- Guys, do yourself a favor. Go on Mega Zip. Look up
Mm-hmm.
the part number you need. If you can find it on eBay, if it's the same part number, you're good.
There you go. There you go. See, so you
Yeah.
guys, if you have any questions, you could always ask him about. Because I don't be on eBay enough to be like, so okay. Thankfully, we have that key of information, so we could guide people along those things. Because hell yeah. Oh
Glad I can help.
no. I'm glad. Shit. Thank you. We just what was it? Thankfully, Colton, one of our admins in USA Canada, shared the link to have more people join in on this, so that's pretty cool. And
Thanks, man.
yeah, thank you. And apparently, also, as you can see right here, we had some issues with the Beams engine finding a replacement for the
Yes.
VVT. So yeah, when it comes to Beams engines, like the 3SGE,
Mm,
3SGTE, and then even 20 valve, very hard to find stuff like this. Like
yes.
we're very fortunate as 16 valve 4GE owners to be able to be like, hey, Toyota, do you maybe have this? Or hey, Rock Auto, do you maybe have this? But we don't really get that from the 20 valve aspect because it's more of a JDM engine. We never got those. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure we didn't. We didn't get any of those in the USA. You guys got
Nope.
that in Canada, right?
No, we did not get any 20
No,
valves
yeah,
in North
exactly.
America in general.
Uh-huh. See. Okay, so yeah, when it comes to the 20 valves and 16 valves, 16 valves readily available. And something I really got to talk about when it comes to 16 valve and 20 valve, um, some cool things that the moderators, admins, and everyone told me I did not notice. So when you're doing Colton, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. But when you're doing a 4A swap or whatever, like let's say you have a 4ADE, you can put pretty much any C series transmission and mate it with a 4ADE. You can mate, let's say a 20 valve 6-speed trans onto a 16 valve engine. So any C series transmission, you can mate it to a 4A engine.
I
Apparently.
I believe that to be accurate. Again, Colton will correct me if I'm wrong, but the 6th gear that I have is from the BZR. But being that
Ooh, convert.
I learned my English, I say BZR because screw it. But the
Right.
BZR trim model had the 6th gear, and I believe optional LSD. Some had, some didn't. But
Mm.
one trim lower, the BZG model, had a 5-speed gearbox, and
I did not know that.
I believe it is also a C series. It could be C50. I don't know those transmissions.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I don't know either.
I think it's quite possible. It would bolt up to the block. It is a 4A block, be it
Right.
16 or 20 valve, F head, G head. The block in itself is a 4A, so I believe it will bolt up. But I got the very nice C160 gearbox. But if I blow it up, I'm in deep trouble.
Hey, just look for a 16 valve 4AG trans, man. There you go. There you go. Oh,
But then I
shit. I didn't even know
wonder.
that. C52 transmissions is the LSD 5-speed variant.
Very nice.
I didn't even know that.
Although you could always go aftermarket. That's what the previous or one of the previous owners of my setup did, because I found a ORC Super Single clutch and Cusco Type RS differential.
Really?
Yes, those are not things you
Sheesh.
throw into a car simply to gently change gears at 5,000 RPM.
I was about to tell you, that's not something you just take on the street.
Yeah, well, I have.
We don't talk about that. We don't. Where's your engine right now? I'm joking. Nah, I can't talk. I can't talk. My engine's blown up
I
there.
have last summer. That still counts.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Something
Hey,
that,
Ren,
huh?
don't forget Sonic's Web's the 50
Yeah, I was about to
transmission.
say,
Really?
I have a couple of my jobs. That's what
Come
I was
on.
about to get to. And I'm glad that Colton brought it up. But yes, this is actually true, and Colton actually told me this. But yeah, you can
Interesting.
pretty much use a Scion XP's C50 transmission and slap it in. So if you do want a lower mileage trend, there you go. And they're not like very
Hmm.
sought after. Scion XP's, I'm not trying to like roast them, but they're not really, everyone doesn't really want one. So it's really good car where you could be like, hey,
So
this
they're going to
is
be
in the
affordable.
junkyard. Cool. You know what I mean? So
So they're going to
that's
be
a cool part.
affordable. That's quite smart.
Exactly. That's the cool part. Like you can't really find even like let's say a 5 speed or whatever sedan A92 4AF. You can't really find many of our transmissions in junkyards nowadays because it's getting so scarce. So to be able to find something like a Scion XB, it's like icing on the cake. Like now it gives us more opportunity to be able to slap transmissions into our cars. So
Yes.
I'm really glad that we got to put that diamond down there. Um, but yeah, and thankfully I have. I'll check if my job still has one, but I'm pretty sure we have a speed trans at my job. So y'all can hit me
Hmm.
up if you actually might need one. But yeah, that's a cool thing about like about these things. It's kind of like since a lot of people have gone down this route of modifying 4ADEs, 20 valve 4ADs, 16 valve 4ADs, even the 4AFs and the other continents and stuff like that. There's a lot of like, there's a math behind it. So now, through experience and through our group knowledge, we can see, hey, you could plug and play this. Oh, you could put a 7A block on and put a 20 valve head or a 16 valve head. Oh, wow. Like it's really cool that you could Lego together these 4ADEs and either make more power or either be able to easily, readily put together a how do I say a 4GE with different parts from different cars. So it's really cool that we have that aspect and we have that roadmap, especially with groups. And like I said before, if I said it earlier in the stream, but definitely go ahead and find our on Facebook, USA Canada A92. You can go ahead and if you're in the US or Canada, join our group, and we have tons of info, tons of really nice people who are willing to like give you info on how to work on your A92 or any questions that you may have. A92 performance is another one, but that one's more like not USA Canada. It's kind of everywhere, but you could join that one if you're not in USA Canada, or you can't get into it. So anyway, Nicholas, my bad. I'm still in the
Or why
spotlight, my dude.
why
Go
not
ahead.
both?
You can do both. You can only do USA Canada if
I
you're in
have.
the US though.
I have.
But I'm just saying, yeah. I'm just saying for people who aren't in USA and Canada, because they're not in those places, you can go to there. You know. So let's hear it. Why do you think the 20 valve's good? And I'll tell you why I think the 16 valve's good. Because I know that's what everybody in the stream's like
Well,
looking for. They're like, "Class, let's hear it."
in the end, I think it depends. Mostly, what do you want to do with the car? What is your budget? Can you afford to have the car down for maybe weeks at a time if something in the engine goes bad? If
I
we're
love
talking
hearing Nicholas.
pistons, head related issues, like if it's a 20 valve, plan ahead. Like what I should have done really is have it inspected or overhauled before I put it in, because now I find myself in a situation where I'm waiting on parts for someone who's
Yeah,
waiting on me, and it's just a shit show. So
it's yeah.
the 16 valve is more convenient. You can make good jam with a 16 valve, of course. You can make a bit more jam with a 20 valve, I believe. You can put
Mm,
ITBs on a 16 valve if you have a standalone ECU, which either way, a standalone ECU is like save up for it. Do yourself a favor. It
it's
it
worth it.
costs a lot. but it's worth
really worth it.
every damn penny.
Every fan. I agree. That's something I gotta really hammer into your guys' head. One thing you want to do, especially if you're going ITBs, Weber, whatever you want to do. That's the number one thing you gotta do. Weber, yeah. Weber's a lot of people don't do that. Well, they'll
Carburetors.
sometimes try it. Yeah, but they'll do it with the 4AF. So I don't want to get off topic of the 4Gs, but a lot of people do it on the 4AF.
It's
But
not a
yeah,
topic.
yeah, you're right. It's a
Sorry
4A.
Sorry to interrupt, but carbs on a 4AG is not off topic. If you look at the channel Driving 4, the number 4, Driving 4
Yeah, he's done it
answers,
before. He's done it before.
buy carbs on a 4AG.
Buy carbs. Yep. When I was looking into carbing my 4AGE or doing like ITBs, he's the channel I was getting all my info from. I was like gathering in, being like, okay, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? Eventually, I dug so much information up. I'm like, okay, I'm over my head, way over my head.
Or Garage 4AGE. I'm watching his channel like a hawk, like
holy shit. Really
absorbing all the knowledge, like, oh, I could do that, I could do this. Oh, this gains a lot of mid-range. I really want to focus on mid-range horsepower and torque.
Agreed. Those are the two top channels that you guys really have to check out when it comes to, because it's not only like when you come to my channel, okay, I'll be talking about the 4ADEs, A92s, but it's all from experience. These guys are like, I swear, like almost like experts, man. Like they're really detailed. They're really good on their info when it comes to 4AGE. So definitely go ahead and check them out after the stream or whatever and dig into, if you want to dig more 4AGE info, like very detailed, go ahead and check them out. Because by far, but especially if you want to get into carbs, ITBs or Webers, whatever it may be, definitely go into their shit. Because they actually do, Garage 4AGE does not Weber. They does dyno seats and stuff like that about the small parts, 16 valves, all this cool detailed stuff. And Driving for Answers does a lot of other stuff. But yeah.
How inclusive is that?
What's that?
How inclusive is that? You have a Canadian and an Hispanic dude sharing channels from a Slav and a New Zealander channel.
There you go, bro. We're like, and it's funny. All of us are in the 4AG realm technically, and we all have our different like corners.
Absolutely.
We're all off of a different area, you know. So what was that? Yeah, one thing I gotta say, I know that we're talking about 4AGEs, but Colton's really right. The 7AFE, definitely do not sleep on them, because the biggest thing about the 7AF, it's a 1.8 liter engine, and it's it's an A series engine. So the thing about them is what you can do, whether you have a 20 valve or a 16 valve. If you get a 7A block, right, and you get a 20 valve head, 16 valve head, and you can make a 7AGE, and it can make lots more power than the standard 20 valve or the standard 60 valve. And the beautiful part about it is it's like basically you're making the stroker engine. Yeah, there you go. You're making a stroker engine out of it, where you get into the muscle car category, but in JDM. You know, it's really cool. It's true, man. But one thing I gotta say, because everybody says this, and I get so annoyed just because I'm not annoyed at them. It's just I feel like people need to be more in depth. When it comes to the 7.8, it's not that simple, but it is that simple. So like, yeah, you slap a 7.8 a block and a 16 valve or 20 valve head on top. You made them together and you make a 7AG. But it's not that easy. You can't just go to junkyard, get it. You need some components to fabricate it together. So like a Porsche 911 timing bow, MRP, like I think there's this timing gear thing that makes all the teeth go correctly. Like there's a couple of components to make everything fit together. But I feel like that's something I really want to share you guys that I felt when I was doing the research. There's a lot of like custom components, or a good amount of custom components that you gotta do to make them work, because they won't just work slapping them together and throwing them on the car. It's just not how it works, and that's just generally how it works. You know what I mean? I just wanted to tell you that, because I was so like frustrated, because I'm like, wait, what? This is a custom part? What? You know? So you know, I just had to say it.
But like you said, MRP are like the go-to place if you want to set up like that. They'll hook you up good. They'll also take all your money, but hey, if you want to build a 4A, if you want to build a 7A base build, like get ready for it. Do your homework.
It
Look up how much it's gonna cost you. Is that really worth it?
exactly. And but the cool part is that MRP. They're for one, they're very high quality parts. For one, so
Oh,
you're getting your money's worth
I can
for
vouch for
sure.
it.
hmm Yeah, he's gotten parts from there. And
Yes.
the other thing is their money exchange rate is for at least for the U.S. So if you
Oh,
actually exchange it to U.S.
Canada
dollars,
too.
it's lower.
Yes.
So that yeah
New Zealand currency is weaker than Canadian currency, so y'all are getting a killer deal.
yeah that's what I'm saying. So if you do order at MRP, you're getting a deal. It's a lot lower than the price you actually see, and it's very high quality parts. So definitely consider going to MRP if you are trying to build a 40DE of whichever amount of valves you may have in it. But yeah, what was I gonna say? So the biggest thing though, I really wanna. I didn't know this, so I don't know much about 20 valves as much as Nicholas does, because I mainly learn from experience. I'll learn by paper, but I learn from experience, which is why when you guys, if you 4AF owners are watching, I don't put as much 4AF info videos because when I owned a car, I know way more than just back when I didn't.
Of course.
So that's
Yes.
one thing I really got to hammer in. But when it comes to 20 valve, which is what I was trying to talk to you about, I shared this with Nicholas earlier. But cool thing is, if you guys are boosting a 40E, there's two things that you got to know for 16 valve and for 20 valve. For 16 valve, one of the actually let me get into 20 valve. 20 valve, the cool thing about the 20 valve is between the two, silver top and black top, you go for the silver top. Now let's talk about to Nicholas about why that is.
Hmm. Or maybe at least the silver top rods. But then again, if you're gonna take the engine apart, just go aftermarket because, um, for those who may not know, silver top AE 111 and black top AE. Oh my god, I screwed it up. Silver top is
No, you
AE
didn't.
101. Black top is AE 111. The black top has lighter internals, meaning more fragile. The silver top has beefier ones, but like I said, then again, if you're taking the block apart, go aftermarket.
You
Go
might as
with
well dig into
forged
it.
rods.
Exactly. Some people just slap stock stuff in, throw boost at it, and then when it blows up, they're like,
Oh,
"What?
how did that happen?
How?
Yeah,
Exactly." And the biggest thing I really, oh damn, I lost my train of thought. But damn, I lost my train. All right, Nicholas, take it away.
I
Take it
derailed
away.
it. That's what.
You really did. I was about
Yep.
to say something when I was digging into the 16. I mean, not 16 valve, 20 valve when it came to boosting them. But the biggest also not only the rods in the 16 valve being the iconic thing as to why you want to boost them. You know, the 16 valves having stronger rods than the black top, but the compression ratio on the 16 valve is a lot lower than the compression ratio on the black top. And,
Yes.
and when it comes to turbo engines, you want a lower compression ratio. You don't want a higher compression ratio,
Correct. For
which is
more
why
boost.
16 valves. Yeah, which is why 16 valve 40DEs are a lot better. But the small port 40DE is a higher compression, so you want to go for the big port 40DE when it comes to that. But
No, no, no.
at the same time, the small port is a lot more
No, you want to
stronger.
go for a 20 valve black top because I've seen conflicting numbers, but
Me too.
the number I see most constantly about compression ratio, black top, 10.5 to 1 compression. So,
hmm
of course, regular is a no go.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
So,
It's 10 to
yeah.
that was 10-5 on the blacktop, correct?
Yes, black top,
And
ten and
it
a
was
half to 1 compression. And
silver
also,
top. Okay, go ahead.
silver top's not as high, but I have not looked it
I
up.
think it was 10-3. I don't remember.
But mine
Maybe
will be
lower.
even higher because I've
Ooh,
had the head shaved a little bit, and I'm putting the
head
TRD,
gasket.
yeah, head gasket, 0.8 millimeter.
Okay, hey, beautiful. Because I'm glad you're doing that. Honestly, like right now, I hate to like break it to you guys. As cool as it would be for me to be like, hey, I'm throwing this and this into my 16 valve 4D. I just want it running, so it's getting just stock whatever because I want my black UTS running. I have another separate small port 4D that I do want to make into a turbo engine. So I will document the turbo build on that. But right now, I'm just slapping it together. I was gonna do what he said with the head gasket from CRD to make a a higher compression ratio. But honestly, I could care less. I just want it. I just want it running. I miss the car, so that's just what's gonna happen with that one, to be honest. But one one cool thing though, when it comes to the 480E 16 valve, that I gotta say, there's a couple of different things when it comes to 16 valve. So one thing I really do want to shed some light on is so one big thing about them. So the big port and small port, obviously the big port had TVS and the small port didn't have TVS. Now the two things about them is as Nicholas was talking to me about earlier before we got onto the stream, he was talking about he has a 6-speed 20 valve engine. Now the cool thing about the 20 valve, you have a 6-speed transmission, and every gear you kind of feel it wanting to go. In my experience with the 16 valve, you have all that like torque and power is. I feel like in the first 2-3 gears is where you have something, but after that, in my opinion, it just tapers off. I also haven't driven my 480 in a while. Colton, I don't know if Colton's driven his 89 GTS in a while, but like maybe any of you in the comments can share some light on your GTS 480 16 valve. But honestly, it just tapers off. So like really, that's the biggest thing about the 480Es. You really just gain that momentum, which is all you have is those first 3 gears of like you have something, and then after that, it's like I ain't got nothing. Like that's just how it is for me. But apparently, for Nicholas, he really has that get up and go when it comes to his 20 valve 480.
Oh yeah, get up and go fueling rather.
Exactly.
Because yes, I have gears, but they are very short ratio. Good for acceleration, but when you're on the highway doing about 75, 80 miles an hour in 6th gear, I'm setting at like 3,600 RPM, which is ridiculous. And I live about 20 minutes away from my work, so yeah, fuel economy ain't there, but at least I'm getting them miles per gallon.
That's what everyone gets. As long as you don't have a big V8 engine, you're saving money, bro. And plus, it's not that bad on gas. We'll live. One thing I gotta ask you is, if I was a 20 valve owner and I wanted to put some power, what are the free modifications that you'd recommend me doing to my 20 valve? Free modifications.
3. Mm-hmm. One that comes to mind that would give you pretty good results is camshafts. Maybe not super crazy 10,000 RPM items, but something that just gives you good gains throughout the rev range. So something like the Kelford 194D, I believe, but some research still needs to be done on that. So that's number 1. Number 2, exhaust system, but keep your OEM header. It is a tubular header. It is good, and I've heard and read that it's tuned by Toyota to have good mid-range. So again, peak power high ups are not worth losing power low down and mid-range. So there, and also
let's hear your last one. Bonus.
A good LSD. If you don't have a limited slip diff, get one. It's not power related, but being able to put the power down does make you go faster.
Agreed.
But power related, standalone ECU, unlock that latent potential.
Especially with the 20 valve. With the 20 valve.
Yes, apparently Toyota's tune from the factory is very conservative, so I think there's a lot of meat I can go reach with that.
And with wait, how long? Sorry to be completely. It's kind of on topic. How long have you had your 20 valve 4AD for? I forgot.
Oh, about 4 years, I want to say. Oof. My notion of time is very bad.
Okay. I just wanted to. What? Oh, yeah, he does have a point. Sorry to interrupt you again. What aftermarket ECU do you recommend?
Oh.
Let's hear it. I recommend, well, at least for the 4AD 16 valves. I don't know how it is for the 20 valve, But it's off the Mega Squirt. That's the most iconic
That's the one I
aftermarket
got.
ECU that a lot of people. Yeah, what did I say? Everyone goes to Mega Squirt, and if you don't go Mega Squirt, it starts with an H. Do you know it? Starts with an H.
Haltech or Link?
Haltech. Yeah, they're really good. Really good. Pricey, but very good
Worth
aftermarket
it.
ECUs to go for. They're worth it. And maybe
Because
read up on the subject to learn more about them. Go ahead.
Haltech and Link, they're pricey, but they come with a patch harness. It's plug and play. The Mega Skirt, you will have to splice in every single wire, or have it spliced.
You're right. You're
Yeah.
right. I saw something about that. I remember I was digging into like I get very lost when it comes to aftermarket ECUs, but I feel like some channels made that a little bit easier so that you can learn on how to do it yourself. So I wouldn't feel too overwhelmed. Just look at Haltech or Donut Media or big channels like that really dig into the meats and bones on how to go standalone. You know.
Yes.
Very, very true. And what? Hold on. Oh, okay. So apparently he has a 4AFE head gasket, and he cut off
20th of the
about
head.
20. Well, and he has a C52 trans, and apparently he compares
Hey,
it to a D16 Z6 from a Honda.
that's not bad.
Oh, that's not bad at all. Because I used to funny story. Before I had my Mustang that I currently have now, I used to have a D16 Honda. I had a 1999 EX Honda Civic. That's pretty fun. It was fun,
Rest
man.
in
I gotta
peace.
say.
May it rest in peace.
Yeah.
Lovely
it
thing that
total.
was.
It was
Lovely
total.
thing.
Yeah, it was a beautiful car. But one thing I got to tell you when it comes to A92s, because I know most of you guys in the stream are A92 owners, is I know they're the competition, but Hondas handle really fucking good. So to get our A92s to handle to that thing, because they have a little bit different of a suspension setup. They have double wishbone, so it's a lot different. So one thing that I gotta advise you guys to get you guys to a comparable level as a Honda is, because a Honda is really good at handling. Our N2s have independent suspension, McPherson struts in the front and rear. So the biggest thing that I gotta tell you guys about doing that is I know it's iconic. Everyone tells you to do it, but getting really good coilovers, and redoing and overhauling your suspension, such as your sway bar links, sway bar bussings, just going all around and tying it all together, and then getting really good coilovers is what makes our cars can at least comparably handle as good as something as right out the box good as a Honda Civic, because they have that double wishbone suspension setup. Yeah, there you go, double wishbone setup suspension. So that's one thing I gotta advise you guys. And we'll dive into this topic, then we'll hop right back on the 4ADEs. But I've owned max speeding rods, and Nicholas has owned, I believe, Fortunatos. And something I recommend you guys doing is if you're on a budget, you just want to lower your car and you want slightly better suspension, go ahead and buy max speeding rods. They're not that bad, but if you're really looking for something that's quality and you're dealing it in the city or whatever, you don't want to look that way. What you want to do is save up a little bit extra, get maybe Rev 9s or a really good medium between max speeding rods and Fortunatos, because Fortunatos and teens are right up there in the pricey range. But Rev 9s are about that 500-600 range. That really gets that in between of it's not that crappy, but it's good. So that's what I recommend. Let's hear your setup, Nicholas. What do you think?
Well, I have no experience with max speeding rods,
That's it.
and Quebec roads are absolutely atrocious. Like you go to the big cities like Montreal, it's a war zone. So I would, in those conditions, I would not recommend those. Rev 9s, still no experience. I hear they're pretty good.
But I've heard good stories. So that's what I'm rooting for. So we'll see. I'm sorry if it's not. Really sorry.
But BC Racing, I think BC Racing is worth spending the money on if you don't want to go all the way to Fortune.
Wait. Oh, so BC is cheaper than Fortune, isn't it?
A little bit. Again, from my point of view, they're just about the same. Right. But here's where Fortunato shines. You can order from the Fortunato website custom spring rates, Swift springs, helper springs, adjustment extenders. Say your damper adjustment is like behind the rear seat or something like that. You can
Oh,
get an
that's cool.
extension and
Oh,
make
that's
it
cool.
easier to adjust.
Hmm.
So I don't know. That kind of put Fortunato over the edge. And based on David Pratt's feedback from Speed Academy, he told me Hamilton, Ontario, the roads are absolutely awful too, and they're very compliant. They ride really well.
Okay.
So with that in mind, I went with Fortunatos. So 500 series because they have 510 for more track-oriented stuff, and they have like full-on hardcore super racy stuff, which I would not
Mm.
recommend in a street car.
How
But
much were? Oh, go ahead. To my bad.
Fortunato 500 series, yes, they're pricey, but
How much
they're
for?
still
How
worth
much?
it.
How much
Again,
were they?
it's gonna
Canadian.
be Canadian currency. They were
Y'all can
like
do that thing on Google.
2 grand. Oh no, just go to xe.com. It's a converter right away. So it
Yeah,
cost
there you
me
go.
two
Convert it.
grand on Black Friday, but worth it.
It is. I like. It really is. Like one thing that I really gotta tell you guys. Like it depends on what your purpose is for the build. But if you're doing something like Nicholas, where you're going more track oriented and you are going to really want to take it onto the track, race it a couple of times, really have that adjustability too, completely worth saving up a good amount of money and then getting those and then going with Fortune. Because if I had the money and I would put my E92 for that purpose, that's completely what I would do. But right now, all my coilovers were for was to dial it down, give it a more really cool look, have it handle a little bit better. But even after that, I ended up going back to stock suspension and keeping the front coilovers just so it could have it look good, but not have the rough ability because I daily it every single day. But I don't want to discourage you guys from getting low branded coilovers because like I don't get the complete eBay knockoffs. I don't ever recommend that. Max
Mm,
Speeding Rods is a knockoff, but it's not that bad of the complete shitty eBay Chinese coilovers. Don't ever get that. Trust me. But for you
I
guys that are just trying to lower it,
I
get
just
them.
had a
What,
brain
what were you
fart.
saying?
Sorry, I just had a brain fart.
Go ahead.
Max speeding rods are knockoff, but they're not bad knockoff. If you're not
Yeah,
flat out,
there you
if you're
go.
not flat out ripping off, it's an homage. They
There
are
you go.
homage coilovers. That's what it is.
There. Yeah, it's like they're bad, but they're not that bad, bro. It just depends on what purpose. And if you're taking it to the city, don't do that. Cause trust me, like they can't like they're good coilover, but decent ish coilover, but they can't take that much abuse for that long. Like I abused them for a very long time in the city, and they gave me every bit of money's worth out of them. So I do recommend it if you're low on cash, you just want to lower and you just want a little bit of handling. Just keep in mind it's going to be a very rough ride. Some people have better experience, but for me, I've had a very rough ride. But to be fair, I had a lot of heavy tools in the back of my E92 and I rode in heavy, bad street potholes. So if you, like I said, look at your budget. If you just want to lower it and have a little bit of handling, but okay with rough ride, go for max speeding rods. More track oriented purposes, go with Fortune. But if you want to right in between where you're doing both and you want to spend a little bit of money, go Rev 9. That's something I do recommend. And it's true. And like exactly what Tim says on his GTS, he has max speeding rod coilovers and it does handle good. But yeah, it's true they suck on roads like Michigan. My brother's out of Michigan, and he has very city roads. I took it
Yeah.
out there, and man, I was it hurt. I was like, it was not the funnest. So I
Yeah,
mean, they're
and
good
Michigan isn't.
coilovers. They're just rough.
Yeah, Michigan isn't far from Canada, also. So that's a good comparison.
Hey, hey, yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just. But to be fair, no matter, I mean, if the higher coilover you get, the easier and fluffier it'll feel maybe compared to other coilovers. But they're coilovers. They're meant for track purpose. They're not meant for like street use like that to be. What you gotta realize when you get into a coilover, it's gonna be a rough ride generally compared to stock suspension. Stock suspensions for comfort. Coilovers, we're not thinking about comfort. We're thinking about handling. Who cares about comfort? It's all about handling. So that's one big thing you got to really think about.
You want to talk about comfort? I give that all up.
Freaking Ricardo guy. This freaking guy.
Yeah.
But It's true, man. It's true. Like that's one thing you got to think about when it comes to that. But why I really want to tie this into it's suspension, but it's not a topic. When you get, let's say you guys have SR5 and you're going to doing a swap of a 16 valve or a 20 valve, or maybe you have a 16 valve and you're going 20 valve. Well, for one, the biggest thing, if you're going 20 valve, regardless if you have a 40G 16 valve or a 4AF, that's a lot more power, a lot more horsepower. So you're going, I know it's not that drastically compared to other people, but for us, it's a lot of power. So 160 horsepower compared to 100 horsepower, that's a lot more power. You're demanding a lot more for the car. So when you do something like that, you got to be very mindful. So you get a 20 valve, what do you want to do next? The biggest thing you want to do is get something as nice as coilovers. And you don't want to go, if you are swapping into a 20 valve, maybe go up to something like a Rev 9 coilover. So you could have something to dial everything in so it could work together because you're getting more power. So you'll have the coilovers to stabilize the car as you're going to those corners. And then you're maybe going to want to have to upgrade the brakes. So maybe go
Oh yeah.
to GTS brakes, or maybe go to the newer Corollas, I forgot what they are, the A100s or whatever they may be, the newer 1993 to 1997 Corollas have bigger brakes and similar setups, so you could use those, maybe Celica brake. There's a lot of different things. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nicholas or Colton, but there's various different brake setups you can go with. Whether you're going with the 1990 GTS, the 1990 GTS has bigger rotors and brakes. And then, there's various cars that have bigger brakes that you can swap on. So, I can't think of them at the moment, but maybe you guys could shed some light on that. So,
Well, I'm gonna say, if you put be it 16 or 20 valve engine in an SR5, first thing, even before coilovers, I would upgrade brakes.
exactly, especially the rear, because rears are drums. Rears are drums.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Rears are drums. I forgot about that. Thank you, Nicholas, for bringing that up. That's the biggest thing that you guys got to realize, because the rear is drum brakes. So there's a couple setups I've heard people talking about. Is that, like I said, you could use the GTS setups, but I swear I have it in group chat. I will leave it down below in the comments when I get the chance. But there's a couple of other cars that if you can't search price for the GTS, you could steal them from other cars, like I believe the Celica, newer Corollas of the 93 to 97 generation, and a couple others that you might be. But yeah, Colton's right. The 1990 GTS has bigger rear brakes. I didn't know. What? I swear to God, I thought the front brakes were
I'm
bigger.
buying a set soon. I'm gonna be buying a set of those soon. Then. Front
Really?
side.
Okay.
Hmm.
I swear I thought the front brakes were bigger, but you can.
Well,
I
that's
barely
the
know that.
thing. I looked it up on Rock Auto's rotor diameter, and from 89 to 90, 91, the diameters were bigger. So
You're wrong, Colton. No, I'm not trying to be mean. But we'll dig into it
more
later.
research is gonna be needed. That's all I'll say.
True that. And not to plug in somebody, but Belladonna is one of and if you're in the 92
Yes.
USA and Canada, he is one of the he's building a Formula in Atlantic 40DE. So really cool. Give you props. But he makes this Porsche brake upgrade bracket. So pretty much for your caliper mounting bracket, he makes a bracket that's custom to fit Porsche brakes. So really freaking cool. Look him up on Instagram, or maybe look him up on the E92 USA Canada Facebook group. Look into him. Definitely way worth it.
I
What were you gonna say? My bad, bro.
believe they are Porsche Boxster non-S first gen base Porsche Boxster 4-pot calipers.
I did not know.
And
That's cool.
if you want like something like a Willwood kit, MRP's got you.
Yeah, true. Yeah, they did. They have a Willwood. I forgot how much it is, but honestly, guys, when you are looking to stuff like that, it's gonna be pricey. But another thing I gotta tell you, because a lot of this happens a lot with the 4AF owners, and I know maybe there's no 4AF owners in here, but when you have an SR5, one of the biggest things I want to talk about is like a lot of people look into the brake upgrades. They're like, oh, I want bigger brakes, and it's cool because it looks cooler and it sounds cool, but you don't need a
feels the
lot
wheel.
more. Yeah. It looks good. It's not.
Yeah,
It's race car stuff. But if you're not going 4D and you're not tracking it and you're not going 20 valve 4D or whatever, it's not very necessary. You could still enjoy the car. The stock brakes on SR5 are plentiful, in my opinion. You can at least upgrade the fronts a lot more. Maybe do a front upgrade and stuff like that. Put a new brake master cylinder, brake booster. Do all those upgrades. But one thing I really got to drill, you guys really don't need to have a huge rear disc setup if you're not going something as big as a 20 valve 4ADE
sure.
or 16 valve 4ADE. And even the 16 valve 4ADE, it's a lot more power. It's a lot more balls compared to the 4AF. But trust me, it's not a 20 valve 4ADE. 20 valve right out the box, 160 horsepower, easy peasy. So you got to think about that. It's just a lot more power. And I know we're doing verses, and I got to give them props. 20 valve 4ADE, straight out the box, more power. So like when you're thinking about which one to do, in my opinion, even though I'm supposed to be supporting the 16 valve side, I got to hand it to the 20 valve because right out the box, you can get the whole setup. And I mean the whole setup. Like you could get the entire transmission, engine, wiring harness, computer on a pallet for, let's pretend, $225, $3K, or whatever it may be. And you have the car, you have the setup, and it makes, when you install onto the car, it's 165 horsepower. So 60 horsepower more than you're getting than the 4AF, or 50 or whatever more than a 4AD 60 valve. And it's crazy because it's just a better setup because if you try to source a 16 valve 4ADE and do all of that, you're going to spend a lot of money just finding a 16 valve 4ADE, let alone the transmission, let alone the harness, let alone the computer, and then the GTS tank. And it's just like, it's a lot more worth it, in my opinion, to swap a 20 valve 4ADE versus a 16 valve 4ADE. And I love the 16 valve 4ADE. But I got to give props where it's due, man, because 20 valve 4DE is a lot more bang for your buck, What do you think, Nicholas?
I think here is a visual representation of what it's like to make big power on a 4AD.
This guy. Hey. That's for every car, bro.
I gotta say, I gotta admit, like, you're gonna be spending a lot of money making not a whole lot of horsepower. Be aware of their limitations. Find the right balance. They make very fun cars, very fun engines. But if you're looking for power, those are not the ones for you. The BMZ, the 3S GTE, 2ZZGE. Look that one up. Dude,
yeah.
I saw an 87 Celica with a 2ZZ, 2ZZ. You gotta say, yeah, 2ZZ and an 87 Celica. I was like, what? Yeah, I did not expect that at all.
And no, it's true though. Like, I mean, I am hyping up the 20 valve, but I gotta talk about both limitations because that's true. Like, you can, compared to what normal A92 owners have, the 20 valve is a lot higher output than what we'll ever get stock for an A92. So it still lives up to its title and potential, but even for the 16 valve 4ADE, it's hype, but it's limitations. So especially in NA form for both, there's not much higher it can go. But that's why I say in naturally aspirated form, the 20 valve is a lot more superior. Even though for it to make more power, it caps off pretty quickly after you're trying to put more into it. It doesn't go that much higher. I mean, you already have a high output stock, but when you pour more into it, it's not like it goes 160 to 360 or 260. You don't really make huge horsepower. But the only way I believe you can make it out of both engines is going boosted. I know it's the most iconic thing to say, but turbocharging your 16 valve 4ADE and 20 valve 4ADE can make realistically big horsepower numbers. Like this one guy on USA A92 USA Canada, his name's Cisco, and he has a 400 horsepower 20 valve 4AD, and it's freaking sick. I gotta tell you, it's freaking sick. I've heard that thing go off, and it's I love it. but it's blown up
dude.
right now. We don't talk about that. But
Oh,
but it's
I'm gonna talk
cool.
about it because there's something crazy about Cisco Barquero.
Hmm.
Do you know where he lives?
Where? Oh, I forgot.
Montreal. He lives
Hey,
in
look at
Montreal. He's
that.
from my neck of the
Look at
woods.
that. Hey, look at you. You guys know how to modify cars, man. You guys already know how
Some
to
do,
modify.
some no. Like just about everyone in the world, really.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
what was I gonna say? No, and that's honestly, I see most very well built up 20 valves in different I'm not gonna lie, different countries, especially like in Canada and other non-USA places. And the big thing also I gotta say about it is if you I know we're just talking about 20 valve, but 7AGE, if you turbocharge that, it defeats, like, man, it kills 20 valves and 16 valves. Like, it's a fucking boss. It's
Hang
a boss,
on,
man.
hang on. Once again, MRP's got one better. 9A GTE,
Oh,
600
oh.
horsepower.
Ah, if I could pull up
On
my other phone, I
on
would.
their demo
Holy
car,
crap.
on their demo car. So, you know, don't see it as, oh, if I get that, it'll make that much. It can make up to, but temper
Yeah.
your expectations.
Yeah, I mean the MRP, they have really good, beautiful quality parts. I've said it before, but the biggest thing about MRP, they have like the holy grail of A92. They have like what you want to grow up as the A92. You know, like you look up to MRP. You know why? Because they have a 700 horsepower A9211 with a 9AGET. Well, I can't pronounce it, but you know,
DTE.
9AG. There you go. Engine that makes the whopping 700 horsepower, and it's really cool because it's like, wow, you can look up to it. It's possible. Like, we never had like that big of a horsepower thing for our A92. So to be able to have someone in our space that builds parts for our A92s, buy their parts, bro. Support the A92 dream, bro. Like, you know, and the thing is, he has us in mind. He building an
Yes.
A92. He has us in mind. So you guys really got to think about that, you know. So that's the cool thing about the A92 thing. We have something like MRP to have like ton, and they have a different setups. They have a lot of aftermarket support for the 4AGEs, but the cool thing that they do have for the 4AGEs is they have like crate kits. So they'll be like, okay, we'll build you a 9AGETE. We'll build you a 7AGET. They'll even build you, I think, 16 and 20 valve. I don't remember. Yeah, I know. I
Pay up.
know. It
Pay up.
costs money, a lot of money. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it's. I'm not gonna say it's cheap, but
Oh, no, no,
but
no, no, no.
it's an option. There's a lot of like platforms like ours where they don't even have a freaking option, and a lot of people would pay to have an option. You know, like for example, let's pretend, they're going off topic a little bit. F4S community, right? They have the holy grail of whatever you could want to modify that car. But the
Oh,
biggest
yeah.
thing you don't think about is when you get into like that platform, it's you're paying. You're not paying like Honda specific prices. You're not. You're paying a lot of money for like something as simple as a spoiler, or something as simple as a body care, or something as simple as a this. You know. So it's the same that kind of goes into the E92 community that we have for parts. Like, you got to pay to play just because it took a lot of development, and they got to make this custom thing that's only for our cars. You got to pay, you know. But at least we
Oh,
have
yeah.
it. You could save up for a couple years and get it, you know, instead of doing it on your own and having to fabricate it yourself. We're not even being able to do it. So that's
What
kind
I
of
will
got to say,
say,
man.
though, we were talking about MRP, but not too far from there in Australia, there's SQ Engineering. Not only do they have parts, they have a lot of documentation. If you have
No, that's true.
questions, troubleshooting, whatever, look up SQ Engineering. They might have something to help you out.
That's true. I forgot about Qt Engineering. I usually link them in some of my videos, but I gotta link in the description too, because they're a really good company. But actually, on that topic, so MRP is one, SQ Engineering is one, S I think it was I forgot what it is. SWMR
SMR2U.
two. Yeah, they took down their site. I don't know if they brought it back up, but Instagram they
Um,
have. But yeah, so MRP, SQ Engineering, that SMR2, whatever. Check their Instagram. Battle
Battle
Garage
Garage.
4AGE.
Fuck
Yep,
yeah.
and those are some good 4AGE sites that you guys can check out to modify your A92, AH6, whatever it may be when it comes to this. So that's one big thing that you guys got to think about.
Fuck. Like, dude, we've been at it for an hour.
We have. And
Yeah.
we have like these two
Time
people that are
flies.
in the stream, bro. I love it. I love that we have people that are actually
All
very
right.
interested in the 4AGE thing. But one thing, what I realized, Nicholas, we've been talking about the 4AGE for the A92, but we never really, the 4AGE wasn't exclusive in the A92. It was exclusive also in the AH6 and MR2, and those two iconic cars is what makes the A92 be able to live on with the 4AG. So on that
Yeah.
topic,
But everyone remembers the H6, the MR2. I took all the badging off of my car just because I'm a troll like that, and I enjoy seeing people struggle to guess which model it is. It is
I
forgotten, it is underloved, it is
love that.
underappreciated, and we should cherish them for that.
We
Save
should,
as
yeah.
much 92s as we can.
Yeah, and if you are selling them and gotta get rid of them in the US or Canada, you already know, hit me up, hit Nicholas up. We'll snatch them from you somehow. We'll figure it out. But like,
Don't expect money from me.
yeah, I was about to say same. But we'll figure it out. But one thing I do gotta say when it comes to these cars, and I just gotta say it really quick before I forget. But when it comes to if you guys are thinking about swapping in a 4AGE, one of the big things that you guys gotta think about, and you really, especially 16 valve, people are going for the 16 valve 4AGE. What you gotta think about is like, oh, cool, this MR2 or AH6 has a 4AGE, I can just put into my car. You guys got to realize MR2 and AH6 have real wheel drive orientated components. Like it's made to be have accessories for that, but you could switch it out for the front wheel drive components. But a lot of people.
I'm just gonna say the MR2 has like it's rear wheel drive, but it's a front wheel drive setup in the rear of the car.
But it's like routed a little bit weirder and not normal like the front wheel. I think you can get by with the MR2 accessories, but you for sure can't get by with the
you can
AH6.
mix and match to make it fit an A92. I should know because a local tuning shop to me, I helped one of the guys load up a 4AG into a first gen MR2.
Oh
yeah.
Oh god. I've never worked on MR2, but
I hope I don't put the shop in trouble for saying that, because for legal reasons, don't make it too loud. But yeah, I helped them out a little bit that time.
I know it's got to be a headache to put a 4AG into MR2. Anyone could talk to me about it in the comments, but I'm pretty like I've dropped a lot of engines before, but not in a midship. I can't wait to do it in a midship, but I know I'm saying I can't wait, but I know it's going to be a bitch. I know it's going to be horrible. I mean, Nicholas has more experience than that than me, because like
by one car.
Oh yeah. Yeah. One thing I do gotta say is sorry to cut you off real quick, but
sorry.
Yeah, the intake manifolds for the 4AGEs, they have really cool intake manifolds on this website for the 4AGEs, and on MRP they have cool intake manifold setups for the A92s, because our admin Colton and A92 USA Canada, he did it on his 11, and he challenged me and Nicholas to snatching A92s. I don't think that's gonna happen, buddy. I'm sorry. I don't know, Nicholas. It's gonna be a brawl. It's gonna be a brawl. I'll say it out right now, Colton. Let's go.
I don't think I'm gonna last very long.
We can share. Okay.
Hopefully.
Okay, because y'all my buddies, y'all my homies. I am too for everybody. I'm Oprah today. Okay.
I was thinking maybe of some closing words, if you're alright with that. Like
yeah, for sure.
that
Run,
advice from the non-dad in the place.
this guy.
Like
I thought you.
you can have the best engine, the best car in the world, but if you're not like properly seated, and if you don't have a good quality steering wheel in hand, you know where I'm going with this.
Yep,
Like
agree.
it ain't
Ah,
gonna
here we
mean
go.
much without a proper quality steering
Sick
wheel.
of you. Sick of you.
NRG, NRG, they can make some good ones, but NRG steering wheels, I would stay away from. Yeah, Momo is pricey, Nardi is pricey, Ital Volante is unobtainium. I got so lucky with that one though.
He
But
really did.
people, do yourself a favor. Get quality steering wheels. Get a
Yeah,
nice Momo like I sent to
agreed.
Brian over there.
Yeah, yeah. I'll show you it because it's gonna happen in the build soon. So I'll show you guys on my next update for 892 11. But I got two closing words for you guys too. Not words, but sentences, paragraphs, whatever it may be. But one thing that I really gotta tell you guys when you're going 16 valve or 20 valve, whatever it may be, two things that you got to keep in mind, and two very important things that what I mean is, for one, be realistic about it. Be realistic about how much money you're going to spend. Realistic about how knowledgeable you are on installing an engine swap. Because we may be like, yeah, I'm gonna put this 2J in. I'm gonna put this 16 valve in. I'm gonna put that. Like we say these things, but when you actually buy the swap and you already took out the engine out your car, you ripped it out, and you're trying to put that 20 valve in, and then you're like, holy shit, I'm in over my head. I didn't even buy the harness. I didn't even, see, go, yeah, and it happens, bro. Trust
I
me. Like
yeah,
that's the
I
biggest
learned the
thing you
hard
guys
way.
gotta know. Yeah, you really gotta prepare, man. And like, it happened to me too. Like it happened to me and Nicholas. So one thing I really want to prepare you guys for is like, you got to keep in mind if you're going for a big engine swap, be realistic about how much money you have. Be realistic about how knowledgeable you are, and about the time frame. You got to be okay with it. Like if you think it's gonna take 6 months, be prepared if just in case it takes a year more. A year or two more. You got to
Oh
be able to
my,
like, hey, can I live without this car? Or hey, can this be in the garage for this long? If not, it's not time for an engine swap for you,
no.
unless you're very confident or you have the money or you can send it to a shop. Be realistic about how long it's going to take, and be realistic about like you can't just get the engine and then that's all you need for the car. You need all these
No.
supporting things to put into your A92, A6, MR2, whatever it may be. You need these things. So really keep in mind that, and be very realistic about your budget and everything. I really got to tell you guys that. And building off of what Nicholas said is, yeah, having those supporting mods when you finally get that engine in, it's worthless if you don't have the rest of your car working together. If you just have regular stock everything else, it's not like, and especially since it's from 1989, it's not gonna you're not gonna enjoy it. You're not gonna bring out the potential of what a 20 valve could you do if you didn't put at least really good stock suspension, really good tire rods, really good rack, pinion, real good sway bar, everything, the whole 9 yards. Make sure your car's working together, and that's one thing that I really want you guys to take home with the stream. Be realistic, do the maintenance on your car, and really just have fun with it. Like there's no really good answer of which one's better. It's what works for your budget and what's really available. I'll always say go for 20 valve if you have the money. So definitely go for it. And if you guys have questions about these builds, you can go to Good Enough Motorsports and you can comment down below, shoot him a message or whatever in Instagram if he has one available. I'm pretty sure he does. And in the comments below for my streams or comments for my videos or this stream, always shoot us the question in here and we'll happily answer it. So I'm really, really, really glad that I was able to talk to you guys about all those things on this stream. And Colton's really right about the Sparko, because he has Sparko. He's repping Sparko.
Sparko,
It's
bruh.
good. But hey, whatever.
Nah, nah.
All you Sparko owners out there, out of here with that. What did he
Sparko
say?
is on point. OMP is excellent also.
You said
But I
what now?
mean, okay, I gotta come clean. The Recaro Profi SPG is
There you go, the talking
a
Italian
personal
again.
favorite of mine. It's style, it's personal preference.
That's
Sparko,
all.
OMP,
Yeah, OMP is really good. I'd get them for my
I,
money
shit.
or any other brand you
Bread.
recommended.
A lot of people say bride, but it is pronounced bread because it's Japanese. Burrito, bread sticks, excellent quality also.
Hell yeah. Well, that's wrapping up the stream. Like, before we go, he's right. If you are considering a 40DE, if you can get your hands on a DTS, go for it. It's very scarce to do, so pretty hard to do. But if you could just get a 92, get it, and worry about the 40DE later. You can, worry about it later. Trust me. But
If
wrapping
you
up the
have
stream, go on.
if you have a solid foundation, if it's an SR5 like rust free or almost rust free,
Get it. Yeah, get a
yeah,
Nitro 20 valve or whatever later,
solid
Hell up.
foundation, then build
Solid
from there,
foundation.
slowly but surely.
Exactly. Exactly. It's not going anywhere. 20 valve is always going to be in the market. 16 valves are getting scarce, but like I said, 20 valve is always there. But I am, to wrap up, I'm so glad I had all you guys on the stream, all the people watching and supporting. I'm glad I had Good Enough Motorsport to, be able to help us. Oh, wait, this way. Help us with the, this info
Mhm.
on the 20 valve and talk
No, hang
about
on.
all this
That's tune
beautiful.
for speed. Good enough is over.
I saw that.
Yeah,
It's over
hang
here.
on.
Yeah. Ah,
Awesome.
I'm not this guy. But yeah, I'm so glad I had you on the stream, man. Guys, if Nicholas is available, maybe we'll do another stream next week. I'll probably let you guys know down in the comments. We'll figure it out. But we are going to maybe do either weekly or we'll figure out how often we'll do live streams. But I definitely want to do live streams more often, especially with Nicholas. It was very fun to do, So definitely keep updated. I'll put in my community tabs if anything. But I'm really glad that that I had you guys on the stream and that I had him on the stream and we were able to go about the situation. So thank you guys so much for joining the stream. All right, Nicholas, say your long-lasting words before we hop off.
Long lasting. Ooh, they will outlive me.
Real quick, shout out to this non-running SR5. I've been there before. I've been there with a non-running SR5.
Oh, I gotta come clean. My GTS is not running at the moment. The
Hey,
engine is being
my
rebuilt, so
my DTS isn't running either, and my
both
right-hand
of
drive
y'all,
weapon's not running.
both of
So
y'all.
all of us have. Even Colton doesn't have a non.
Ah,
I'm not trying to put shade on Colton,
fake
but all
page,
three of us.
fake page, calling it.
Hey,
Nah, I'm
maybe
just
we'll have
messing.
Colton on the stream next time. If he wants to join, maybe we'll have Colton on the stream. But yeah, it was really fun doing this stream. So I'm really glad I had you guys here, and thanks again, Nicholas, for joining us. So we'll head each other up and see if we can do another one next time, guys. But
Yeah,
but
we'll
yeah,
look into it.
yeah.
High five.
All right, guys. Well, what? Oh, wait, it's this way.
Yay.
Hey, well, Colton's down to join us next time. So whenever we do it, that sounds funny. But whenever we do that, we'll have him join along, and maybe he has a lot of experience with A92s and 16 valves for these. So I can't wait to hear his words on the topic. So maybe next time we'll very dive deep into these. So I can't wait to do that. So yeah. Well, one more high five, Nicholas. This way.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. All right, guys. Well, yeah. Thank you guys for joining. Yeah, yeah. We'll talk about that later. I'm joking.
Bad
Thank you guys
aim.
for joining the stream. We'll catch you next time. Peace.